guys, welcome to another episode of The Search Bar, where we always ask if your marketing has gone bitter or sour. So sit back and enjoy top shelf strategies from The Search Bar, where we're serving up insights for your digital marketing to work successfully. I am your host, Eric Ritter, SEO Sommelier and CEO of Digital Neighbor, a friendly neighborhood marketing SEO company based right here in Tampa, Florida. For today's episode, I'm honored to be joined by Courtney Jackson, founder and CEO of Paragon Cyber Solutions. And she's going to discuss why cybersecurity is integral to your business success. Thanks for joining. I think this is going to be a lot of fun today. We always like to start off kind of with your roots. So we're going to start there. And if you don't mind, just if you could tell me how you got started in all of this.
Okay. I don't want to age myself too much. But
no worries.
Thinking back, right out of high school, I went to the Navy. And I joined as in IT. So
nice. Okay.
I wasn't very familiar with computers before that. I did 4 years in the Navy. I spent 3 of those years in Italy. I know, terrible
beautiful.
Duty station.
Had
right?
good pizza there,
oh my
I hope.
Gosh, shopping, pizza, everything.
Food, right?
After I got out of the Navy, I was back in the commercial world outside the military. I started at a help desk, and I literally physically worked my way up from there. So help desk, system administrator, network engineer, and eventually around 2008, cybersecurity. It wasn't even called that then. That's like the term now, but it was just security then.
Just security.
Just security.
Okay.
Yeah. And I've been in cybersecurity ever since. I worked my way up on that side as well until I achieved chief security officer level with another government contract company in Maryland. And I supported that CEO for a couple years. In the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm running the day-to-day here for someone else.
Yep.
I can do this myself.
Yeah.
So it took me a little bit, to kind of get ready to take the leap, but I took the leap of faith and I haven't looked back since.
That's awesome. I know it's not easy to cut that umbilical cord, right, to kind of go out on your own. So definitely kudos to you. Definitely recognize the hustle and grind there that went into all of that. So it sounds like that's what you're passionate about, kind of cybersecurity, helping out people, maybe building businesses or building your business.
Absolutely.
That's cool. Is there anything else you're passionate about?
Covered that. The only thing I will add to it as well is helping women excel in male-dominated fields. So even the military and then IT, is very male-dominated. And it's really hard, even harder, I think, for women. But now I'm happy to say there are more women in the field now than there were when I first started. So we're definitely going in the right direction.
That's awesome. So what kind of maybe tips do you have for someone who wants to go into a male-dominated field? Like, I know, I work in marketing. I work a lot with developers, designers, and it's very, very male-dominated there. So what kind of tips do you maybe have for someone who's trying to break into that kind of field, who has a passion for it?
So I would say get a mentor, right? Again, since I didn't have anyone back then to really look up to or to help guide me. But now, since there's so many women in the field, look at people that are where you aspire to be and reach out to them. Ask them if they'll help you along. And then there's a lot of women organizations as well. So definitely connect with like-minded people. I think that helps a lot.
That's such a great tip. Finding a mentor, right? I think that's no matter what you're trying to do or where you're trying to go. So that's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that, Courtney.
Of course.
So let's talk about cybersecurity a little bit more, if you're okay with that. Do you have any tips or tricks that you can share for business owners or individuals to take advantage of? Because it's scary, right?
It is. How long do we have?
Good question. As long as it takes.
No. So just at a high level, everyone's online, right? So whether it's your computer, your phone, there's software you can purchase pretty inexpensively, VPN software, virtual private network. And what that does is secure your internet connection. So it helps prevent those bad actors from intercepting your, online data and things like that. And you want to be mindful of the information you enter online. People are so easy to share information. There's social engineering, right? So you want to look out for people posing to be other people to get information, like the recent hack with the casinos. They're saying that started from a 10-minute phone call. Someone calling and talking to someone at the help desk, got the right information, they got into their network. I mean, it's really easy.
I didn't hear about that. So
there's an MGM.
Okay.
It just recently happened.
Okay.
It's huge.
So someone a bad actor called the help desk?
Posing.
Okay.
From the information that's been released,
right.
Obviously. They said that someone posed as a user, talked to someone at the help desk to get access to their account. They got in the network. Once someone's in the network, it's terrible. they're in. And depending on their
Do
skill
whatever they
level,
want.
exactly, they can pretty much do whatever they want.
Wow.
So
Okay. So you got
protect your
to stop it
information.
at the start, right? You got to
Right.
cut it off right there.
Right.
Really, really great information. So VPN, virtual private network, is any business should go out there and take a look at that, because that you said protects you.
Right. Consumers as well, on their personal devices, their laptops, anyone online. Anyone can purchase it.
Got it. Okay. Great tip. Thank you for sharing that.
Happy to.
Let's move on to what we call time to grow here at the Search Bar.
Okay.
So let's talk about your business, right? Can you talk about how your business has grown over the years?
Wow. Just thinking back a couple years ago, it was just me.
Wow. Yeah.
So when I started out, I did consulting, on my own. And I just kept, gaining work, gaining customers. And so I got to the point, I said, oh, let me bring in another consultant. Got more work. Let me bring in another consultant. And then I think the big turning point for me was getting my first government contract. So outside of the military, I mentioned that I worked, IT help desk and things like that. So I still supported the federal government, but as a contractor. Okay. Getting your own contract under your own business as a new business is very difficult.
I can only imagine, yeah.
There was a relationship that, I was able to leverage, and there was an introduction made, and they said, hey, there's a 2-month search support effort. Come in and do what you can. There's no guarantees it's going to go anywhere. So I went in there. I hit a big milestone for the customer, which was the government here in the deal. And that turned into a 1-year contract.
Nice.
So I worked that myself the first year. And being there with the customer, I was kind of able to identify some things like, hey, I think you need help in this area. I could bring someone else in to do that. And because of the relationship we established and the work I was doing, they said, oh, let's try that. So then I got my first full-time employee.
Nice.
And now we're up to 16. So we're growing.
16. Wow. That's tremendous growth. And just want to acknowledge that. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
Congrats on that.
Thank you.
And what you mentioned is from the start, kind of maybe getting an introduction there, right? So kind of really having a network, right, is really important, kind of having those connections there. No matter how they come to be, I think is really important. I always like to say, your network is your net worth,
That's
right?
very true. You hear that saying, it's like,
right.
but people say that so often,
then you
but
get
it's
business
so
out
true.
of it.
Right. Then you're like,
and
oh.
it's real.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Awesome. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's tremendous growth. Something to be very proud of.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So how are you, or what are you doing now? I mean, so at the beginning, it was through your network, you got business, but what kind of marketing are you doing now? How are you getting potential new customers? How are you getting in front of people? How are you making sure they know about you, and they want to choose Paragon Cyber Solutions?
So a lot of it is word of mouth, fortunately, right? Whether that's current customers that we have or, leveraging the network, people that we know. I have been doing more on social media, not a ton, not as much as I should. But we've actually received exposure organically. There was another connection. I don't remember how the first news, actually I do. We had a ribbon cutting, and the mayor came to our ribbon cutting.
Congrats. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. And her publicist put out a press release. So multiple news outlets came. So then that put me on their radar as a cybersecurity expert in Tampa. And since then, I think I've been on the news like 3 times.
Wow,
since that,
that's cool.
And then our ribbon cutting aired as well. So initially, people contacted me and say, "Hey, I saw you on the news," So things like that's what I meant by organic. Like, we had an event, they came out, and then they reach out sometimes when there's local cyber things that come up. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's been word of mouth and then via the news as well.
So you must be doing really good work, right? Because that's kind of the foundation in order to get those referrals and continue growing organically. So how do you make sure, that you're continuing, as you're growing, that you continue to deliver really, solid solutions and products to your customers?
Oh, that's a great question. So our company, Paragon, a lot of people don't know, Paragon stands for a model of excellence. And that's why I chose that name, right?
Love it.
So we have internal quality checks that we do for all of our projects. I have an operations manager internally. She's very thorough. We do double checks. I mean, it's just a lot of checks and balances to make sure before it gets out the door to the customer that it's top notch.
Got it. Okay, so a system of checks and balances, quality control, people checking each other's work.
Yes.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Easy to miss stuff, so that's why it's always good to have 2 sets of eyes at least, just to make sure everything's good.
That's awesome. And I think we can all learn from that, right? It's just making sure having someone else, if it's reading a piece of content we wrote or reading our caption for social media.
Right.
We all miss stuff.
Oh, yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's totally normal. We're all humans, right? Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So you kind of mentioned the press coverage there. Is there anything else? Is there maybe any awards or anything else that you've received?
Yes. So let me go backwards. So I think the most recent recognition was from Grove, Florida. So our company is a finalist for the top 50 companies to watch in the state of Florida.
Fantastic. Congrats on that.
Thank you. A few months before that, we received word that we were a finalist for the Tampa Bay Chamber Small Business of the Year.
Nice. That's a great award. That's very prestigious.
We're so excited.
I hear how hard it is and how rigorous they are kind of putting you through the ringer.
Yes, it is quite
there.
a process. It was there were different rounds, qualifying rounds. We had to do interviews. We have our site visit next month. That's like the final kind of thing, we can do before they make the decision. And the event is actually mid-November at the Hard Rock, where they do the big reveal in front of everybody. Yeah. So we won't find out until that night. I know I'm kind of on pins and needles a little bit.
I would be too. That's exciting.
But so there was that. Earlier this year, by Tampa Bay Business Journal, I was named Businesswoman of the Year in Tampa, one of the honorees. There were 30. So that was huge.
That's still a very small number.
Sure
of people. Yeah, that's great.
We were the smallest business, I think, on that list. So that
speaks volumes about you and your business.
And then last year, I was named the Global Cybersecurity Woman Entrepreneur of the Year in Vegas, the week of Black Hat.
Nice.
So, and there are a few others, but those are like the really big ones. And I think that one in Vegas really put eyes on me outside of this area.
Yeah.
For sure, and that opened up people's eyes, not only to me, but to our company, Paragon, and we did see an increase in, work and consultations and things like that. So every award is definitely help for sure.
That's fantastic. So it seems like it all goes hand in hand, right? Kind of the exposure, the PR, the awards. And so would you say most of your customers are in Tampa, or now with that Vegas award, you're growing outside of Tampa? Or I guess my question is, what's your goal? How big do you want this to get?
So I don't have a number goal. In terms of where our customers are located, they're across the U.S. Even our employees, we have employees outside of Florida that are also in California and North Carolina. Okay. So we're in 3 states employee-wise. We have customers all over the U.S.
Very cool. So cybersecurity, I always imagine, I'm sorry, I'm going back here, right? Because I have a very limited understanding, is I thought you had to be on site, you need to help people, but you can do everything remote now to help people kind of with their problems or to consult them and help with cybersecurity. Is that right? That's
correct. I mean, there are some things you can't get around being, physically there for, but there's definitely a lot now with technology that you can do remotely for sure.
Very cool. Okay, so remote work is in every industry now, right?
Yes, it is.
No matter what it is.
It definitely is, yes.
Very cool. That was so cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Of course.
Let's move on to here at the search bar called Barrels of Wisdom.
Okay.
So keeping it on brand here with our wine here on the table, right, is so let's talk about my favorite question, which is also the name of the podcast, is, Courtney, what's the last thing that was in your search bar you searched for?
Actually about the hack that I mentioned, or the casino hack. And then before that, on a personal note, it was the weather in Cancun. I'm going on vacation.
Ooh, that's exciting.
So I don't take a lot of vacations, so I'm actually really excited about that.
That's fantastic. You definitely deserve it, right? So you're searching, again, because I need to kind of talk a little bit more about the searching, right? So you're searching for the weather. And did you click on any websites? Are you just taking what Google shows you there as the weather, or how did you get that information?
I think it was NOAA, but then at the top they kind of show you, the sun, the images and the degrees. But I think I clicked on the NOAA site. That was one of the top results that came up.
Similar to, Google tries to keep you on Google, right? When you're searching for something, they don't want you to click through. They want you to spend time on that search results page.
Right.
But I don't always trust what it says there, and it's not always all the information. So I'm sure if you want to get more detailed information about the weather or maybe a further forecast, you need to actually go to a website, like you said, NOAA. I don't know if they say NOAA or NOAA.
I don't know how they pronounce it either. I know it.
Okay, we're going to have to bring on an expert next time that works there. It's like, how do you even pronounce your organization there?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Who came up with it anyway, right? Well, you worked in the government, right? So you're used to all these abbreviations.
So many
for everything.
acronyms and oh my gosh.
Yes. So my dad was in the Army, and everything was an acronym.
Yep.
And hey, we need to get some R&R, or it's time to do that and that. And so I grew up with everything was just letters and numbers. And so it's funny. So it's just funny how that works, in the government. And then some of them you're like, how do they come up with this?
Right.
It doesn't make sense. Anyway, cool. Well, thanks for sharing that. And then with the hack as well, let's talk about that and the search. So how did you decide where to get that information from?
So Hacker News is one of the sites that I go to, but I wanted to find out if they knew why, and that's why I was saying. Oh, again, I don't know how valid that source is. It was just a news site, but when they said that it was the 10-minute phone call, the social network, I was like, ooh.
Were you like, that checks out? That makes sense.
Oh, it's totally
doable.
It happens.
No,
no, it happens a lot. Too frequently, actually.
Yeah.
People are unsuspecting.
Right.
And people, they prey on that, unfortunately.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. So let's talk about the digital world as pertains to your business, right, where everything's digital when it comes to cybersecurity, right? And it's evolving every single day. So are there any things that you're saying in front of you right now, or that you think will be in the next 2 to 3 years, kind of that you see might be changing, kind of looking a little bit at the horizon here?
I think AI. Right? I mean, that's all the buzz these days.
Oh, yeah. The A word.
The A word.
The other A word.
Right, the other A word. That's
right.
funny. I'm still learning a lot about it myself, but I mean, using tools like ChatGPT, it's just amazing thing. You just put in queries and it spits stuff out for you. It's that's definitely going to continue to evolve over the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah. How do you maybe see that impacting your job or cybersecurity?
I think it's something that could be leveraged. I know that just reading some blog posts, I know some people think, it could eliminate some jobs, artificial intelligence, things where you're doing this, there's a computer doing something versus a person. But I think there's ways to leverage tools like that to empower the people that are in positions now to get knowledge that they wouldn't normally be able to obtain, especially so quickly. I mean, one query, you can spit out a ton of information.
Yeah. I mean, my philosophy is we still need a human watching it, right? Because just as an example, like my credit card company calls me and says, hey, your transaction were declined. We thought you were on vacation. I'm like, I didn't go anywhere. The algorithm got it wrong, right? So you need that human to kind of double check, and make sure that the machine's getting it right. But it's going to make it quicker and easier for sure, no matter what it is.
Right.
Cool. Awesome. So that makes sense. I think we can agree. That other A word, AI, is definitely in everybody's mouth, no matter what your industry is.
Right. I agree.
What can people and brands do right now to protect their business from cyber attacks and digital scams like phishing? We talked about it a little bit earlier, but can we get in a little bit deeper? If I'm a business owner, what should I be doing to making sure that my business is safe or safer from any cyber attacks or phishing? Or maybe you can even start off by defining what is phishing.
Okay, so phishing is when an email is sent and someone's posing as someone else. So a lot of the times you work for a company, Eric, one of your employees, might get an email and say, hey, this is Eric. Can you go get 10 gift cards for me from somewhere, right? And
which, by the way, has happened.
Really?
Really, yeah. So one of my employees forwarded me an email, and it was like, hey, this is, and it was something not as thought out as get me 10 gift cards. Like, hey, this is Eric. Make sure you come to the office tomorrow. And so I think that was like the initial ask, kind of trying to reel them
bait
in.
Them in. Yep,
bait
exactly.
them. It's like, oh, they're going to respond to this, and I can ask them for other things. So I can definitely attest to that. This happens. Luckily, they caught it because they're like, I'm not supposed to go to the office tomorrow, right? But for me, I always look at the email that it comes from.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
And I
Perfect.
think that's
you
like,
nailed it.
Right. That's the thing. Like, is it from the right domain, right?
Yes.
From the right website? And I feel like that's almost foundational knowledge everybody should have. Like, double check where it came from.
So you're a cyber expert.
I don't know. That's what we have you here for, right? That's what we have you for. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm just saying,
that's
like,
perfect.
it's happened before to me even. It was phishing. So it's an email comes out, someone's posing as someone else, right? And
There's normally a sense of urgency behind it. They try to play on that because if you think your boss is writing you, telling you to do something, you're like, oh, quickly, you just want to do it. Exactly. They play on that. I love that your employee caught it, though. That's amazing. So a tip alongside that, your employees obviously cyber aware, but a lot of companies don't offer security awareness training. That's very important. So
Yeah.
aside from just the general security videos anyone can go click on and take, there are tools you can put in place like phishing exercises, where it sends out phishing emails to your team and it'll tell you who clicked on it, and it's not to try to trip anyone up, but it's just to know like, hey, well, we'd rather catch this when it's, a test than when it's real. And then if someone does click on it, then you can actually help them with that, get them the training that they need to help identify those things, like you said, the domain and things like that. So that's something all companies should, and it's fairly inexpensive. It's just something that I think a lot of companies overlook.
Yeah, for sure. Do you have any, are there anybody you could recommend there, or people should reach out to, or could they even come to you for something like that?
Paragon.
Got it.
We
Okay,
do have
perfect.
security awareness products and training, as well as the phishing, so we can offer all of that.
Awesome. Okay. I'm going to sign me up because I need to make sure everybody's as good as that one employee that caught that. I think that was really great, kind of talking about what business can do there to kind of protect themselves. Okay, so do you have any recommended books or resources for people to learn more?
Too many books, right? But resources, SANS.org is really good, not just for businesses, but for consumers. They have, they even have policy templates, things like that. That's the other thing, ensuring you have a security policy for your company, a program. I think a lot of people, unfortunately, wait until an incident occurs, then they're scrambling to figure out what to do, versus being proactive and doing an incident response policy in advance. We don't need it to make sure everyone's trained on it. So SANS has templates and things like that. Hacker News is a really good website to just kind of stay up to date on things. Even LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn for all things, especially networking, but there's a ton of information shared on there too.
Got it. Okay, yeah. Well, thanks for sharing that. So a lot of great websites, and we'll put them in the show notes so that people can find them as well. So thank you. All right, so let's get to the perfect pour here, which I know we sent you Mad Libs, a.k.a. fill in the blank story, to help create a wine label for you. So I want to see what you came up with. If you can just read your wine label to us here.
So my wine label is grind and grit.
Nice. Okay. So what are the two ingredients in your wine, the grind and grit?
Initiative and ambition.
Love those. And then who is this blend made for?
I think it's more so for people that aspire to be entrepreneurs.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
People that have that hustle and grind.
Absolutely.
Have that mentality there. So tell me more about those ingredients, initiative and ambition. I think that's a really unique combination there. Yeah,
so for initiative, I think is the ability to get started, right? On your own, though. I think that's the key thing with the initiative, not someone telling you, hey, you should be doing this, or your mom, or I don't know, whoever is telling you what you should be doing. Right. That's more of an internal thing that you do yourself, taking the initiative to take that step, whatever it may be.
Right.
And then the ambition part is to keep going, right? Things may not always, likely won't always go the way you expect.
Yep.
But you have to continue to just be ambitious and keep striving for greatness.
I love that. You got to have that grit, right? To just kind of keep going.
Grind and grit.
Yep. Grind and
Pour me a drink. Is that what this means now? I get a drink? Or?
Yeah, at the end. Yeah. I think you passed the test. I think you did. So absolutely, we will. Because that pretty much brings us to the end here, Courtney. I really enjoyed our conversation. Are there any final tips or thoughts that you want to share to our listeners here?
No, thank you so much for having me. And for everyone out there, thank you for listening. I'm sure you'll pass on the information to follow my website and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really appreciate you being here. Cheers, Courtney. Cheers. Thank you so much for joining here at the Search Bar. And like you said, you can connect with Courtney and myself on LinkedIn. You already mentioned it's a great resource. You get all kinds of information there. So make sure you find us there. You follow us on our journeys. As mentioned, we'll add the links to all the content that was shared here today directly in the episode description. And of course, if you have any SEO or digital marketing questions, feel free to reach out to me directly on LinkedIn. As the CEO of Digital Neighbor, you can tell that I love talking about this. I want to know what was in your search bar and why was it there and why did you click on what you searched, what you found there after you searched. So we really hope we filled your glass with digital wisdom, and we're looking forward to seeing you for the next episode of the Search Bar. Thank you.